And we have a new government now, as you said. If this government was to commission an inquiry and severe failings were found to have taken place in your father's case, this government isn't responsible for that. So I'm not sure why they would seek to hide any information now.
That was my question also. What is it that they do not want people to know? I would think they would be pleased to, slander the Conservative government. For me, this is not about politics. This is about humanity. I don't care who helps me as long as somebody helps me. And that was the thinking that my dad had as well. He would help anybody. It didn't matter what colour, what religion, what political affiliation you were. He would help everybody. So I am just pleading, somebody help me to find the answers so that we can stop this happening time and time again.
And your case is not just important for your family, it's also important for the whole country, because of course no individual life is more important than another, but an MP represents our democracy, and very obviously MPs are therefore going to be terrorist targets, people who are seeking to undermine democracy or to influence democracy. Do you find it especially surprising that in such a case where there are very clear implications for our politics and our national security, there is just this everlasting silence?
I mean, what kind of a message does this send to other potential terrorists? If you are going to be allowed to commit this atrocity to a standing member of parliament and the government isn't going to do anything to do investigations as to what went wrong, what kind of a message is that sending? And also, I have been given a small platform because of what my father did. Say I wasn't my father's daughter, I wouldn't have access to write letters to directly and hand deliver them, through other people to the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, and to ask other politicians, to ask questions in the chambers. I have been given access to this. Say my dad was a plumber or something not to do with Parliament, how far would I have got? Because I wouldn't be able to tell people what is happening because nobody would know who I am. It really makes me despair in this country and justice and the kind of people that are running the country, because they got to have some compassion and they have got to have some courage, and we have to break the system open, find out what is wrong, and then begin to rebuild.
Do you think if there had been some sort of inquest, it would have been possible to prevent the Southport attacks?
I don't want to make the pain for the families any worse than it already is. I just think that had the government have listened to me 3.5 years ago, the guy that did it to my dad, the guy that did it to these poor little girls, it's the same profile. It's a lone person in their bedroom, self-radicalizing, that is already in the system. And we're already thinking, hey, this guy could be, not a very good person. Had they have listened to me, potentially we wouldn't be sitting here today. And I just think it's a terrible, terrible atrocity. And for the government to just be trying to, come on the back end of it and be like, well, now we have to do a full inquiry. Why didn't we have that 3.5 years ago? It's very hard for me to stomach that still nobody is listening. And had they have listened sooner, perhaps we wouldn't have been here.
Now, if we move on to the role of Essex Police, I believe that the day before your father was killed, there was actually a threat made to his life, although it's not believed that was related to the actual attacker. How did the police deal with that? Do you think they took it seriously enough?
My dad could still be here today had they have taken it seriously. The police keep releasing these canned responses that they're very sorry that it happened to my dad, the threat wasn't related, and that it isn't their policy to send protection to a constituency surgery. I'm not saying it was related. What I'm saying is you had a threat to a sitting politician the night before. They claim that they sent an unmarked police car past our family home. Well, what on earth is that meant to do? What attack is that going to foil? They never sent anybody the next day. The guy that did it has admitted that he went to other surgeries with his weapon to commit the attack, saw a police presence and turned around. Therefore, had the police have been at my dad's surgery, he would not have committed the attack. And I understand if it's not your policy to send protection. However, you had a threat. You should have sent protection. And I have launched a complaint, the IOPC. So far, it's been about 6 weeks, haven't even had a response. During the trial, there was a threat to me. Somebody came to a house 2 doors along thinking it was my family house and was demanding for me to come out, banging on the windows. The neighbours said that he picked up something in the garden and was going to throw it through the window. I have all the call recorded. They said, don't worry, we've called the police. Somebody will be with you. The police never, ever came. When we finally got hold of them, they said, oh, yeah, we arrested somebody. And so, that's the end of that. And I'm like, that is not the end of that. I need to know who you arrested. Am I safe? Why you didn't come to my house and tell me? I said, we need police protection. They absolutely refused. And to this day, I still don't know who that was. They just don't care.
Yeah. Well, I remember after your father was killed, the next couple of days, a lot of MPs were given police protection. The police just turned up and asked for our itinerary and literally did follow us around. That was 2 days, and then it didn't happen again. And obviously there weren't any specific threats there. It was because of heightened concerns as a result of your father's death. But then
So suddenly they've got the funding to be able to, but it's already done. My father is already dead. I want to also hold the police accountable, because you cannot just say, we're sorry that he passed away. It wasn't our policy to send somebody. No, you had a warning and you should have been there. And the IOPC needs to respond to me, because what on earth could be a bigger case that they're dealing with right now than the death of a politician who they had a prior warning about? So they're not going to get away with it. And I'm not just going to disappear.
So what are you hoping to achieve in your meeting that you've got now this week with the Home Secretary?
We need a yes or a no. Are we getting an inquest? That's the bottom line. I don't want to hear about a prevent learning initiative. I don't want to hear about lessons learned. I want, am I getting a public inquiry? And she just needs to say yes or no. It's not a difficult question to answer. And until I do get that inquiry, I will continue to speak out. And the public support has been overwhelming. I've been in awe of how many lovely comments and support that I've had of people offering me money if I wanted to try and take up the campaign in the courts again. I've had, anything that I need, people just reaching out, and it's instilled my faith in humanity, that we are a great nation and that we can make a difference if we all pull together. And so the Home Office needs to say yes or no.
And hopefully we'd then get the learnings from that inquest and also the Southport inquiry to really dig deeply into what do we do about these sadly increasing number of people who may not be classic terrorists from the prevent definition, but nevertheless present a serious threat to members of the public. How do you think prevent could change their operation to be more effective?
I think that we can't speculate until we do individual inquiries into every case where it has failed, because there might be similarities, there might be differences. In my father's case, they blamed it on an admin error that he wasn't followed up with. I don't accept that is to be called an admin error and we'll all just move on with our lives. An admin error is forgetting to make a duplicate copy of something or forgetting to CC somebody into an email. It is not forgetting to follow up on a potential terrorist that then goes on to kill somebody. We want individual answers to each of the people that it has failed, and then we can do an assessment of where it needs to go from there.
Katie Amos, thank you so much, and really good luck with your meeting. I so hope that you get the inquest that you absolutely deserve, and well done with your campaigning. I don't know how you've managed to hold it together over such a horrendous few years.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks so much. Thanks for watching. We'll keep you up to date with Katie's story, and don't forget to subscribe to GB News YouTube channel.